Morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's webinar. We're absolutely delighted to have you join us for this exciting session on law and research courses at Canterbury Christchurch University. And whether you're joining from across the city or from anywhere around the world, thank you for taking the time out to be here with us today. Now, when this session is specifically designed for students who are looking to build strong academic foundation, gaining relevant industry experience and exploring rewarding global career opportunities. So, stick around with us for the next hour. We'll be talking a lot about everything that you need to know. I can still see attendees joining, so we will begin. But you can, if you've missed something, be rest assured that this session is going to be recorded. But today's webinar, like I said, is going to give you valuable insights into what makes CCCU a fantastic destination for international students and how its programs can help shape your future career aspirations. For those of you who I haven't met before, my name is Neha Shetty and I'm the Regional Director with Inuni Global. And it is truly a pleasure to host today's session. Over the next hour, we'll be covering about the key highlights of law and research courses, insights into clinical and practical training, academic and research support, career opportunities, employability, student life, and all the support services that you would be getting. And finally, we would be concluding with a live Q&A session where our esteemed panelists will answer your questions directly. So we request you to stay engaged throughout the session and make the most of this opportunity to interact with our speakers today. So moving on to the next slide, I'm very excited to introduce our esteemed panel from Canterbury Christchurch University. With us today, we have Narisa Ramsundar. She is the principal lecturer in law with expertise in legal education and supporting students in developing academic and professional pathways within the field of law. Welcome, Narisa. We are very excited to have you here with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Neha.
Absolutely. Then we have with us Matthew Stubbins. He's the principal lecturer in law, bringing extensive experience in legal teaching, student engagement, and contemporary legal studies. Thank you, Matthew, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And then, last but not the least, we have Elisabetta Corvo. She is the course director, MSc Research Methods, specializing in research development, academic methodology, and postgraduate student support. Welcome, Elisabetta. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for having me today.
Amazing. So before we begin, I would definitely, like to take you all through a few important housekeeping rules. Because please note that today's webinar is being recorded and the recording will be shared with all the attendees after the session for any further reference. We will also be having a dedicated live Q&A session, which I mentioned, which is going to be towards the end of the webinar, but you can always use the chat box to put in the questions as and when it comes across your mind. And you are welcome to submit, your questions, like I mentioned, anytime. And our team will compile the questions together and will address as many as possible. Okay, as you can see here, the featured courses that we're going to be covering up today are LLB Law, International Law, LLM, and MSc Research Methods. So moving on, without further delay, let's begin today's session and hear directly from our distinguished speakers from Canterbury Christchurch University. To begin with, we have LLB Law, and over to you, Matthew, to take us through the course overview and also the pathways.
So thank you. So welcome everybody, and I hope you're having a good day. So in relation to our LLB law, so this is our undergraduate course. So this will give you your undergraduate degree, which is necessary in the UK and also in many other jurisdictions for you to pursue a legal career. So your LLB, should you choose to study it, which again, for almost all lawyers in common law jurisdictions, is a fundamental necessity, gives you the strong foundational knowledge both of legal principles and the substantive law. So throughout your time on the LLB over your 3 years, you will study the core foundational modules that every lawyer has to understand. So that will include things such as contract law and criminal law in your first year, land law and tort law in your second year, and equity and trusts and EU law in your final year. So therefore, through our LLB course, you are given the foundational knowledge in order for you to go and then study to become a practicing lawyer, but obviously also to tailor your course, to tailor your degree to the areas that interest you. So some of you may have already decided what area of law you may wish to practice in. Some of you may not know what area of law excites you or interests you at the moment. But your LLB degree will allow you to move towards what it is that does interest you, whether it's international law, which Narissa is responsible for and will speak to you later about, whether it's more commercial or corporate law that interests you, whether it's family law or medical law, whatever it is that may interest you, then we allow you through the latter stages of your degree to tailor your degree to what interests you and the areas that you wish to practice in. More than that, given that law is both a theoretical and a practical subject, we endeavor and we make sure that you both have the fundamental skills that are needed to understand what the law is and why the law is the way that it is, and also how to practice and to engage with it on a practical level. For example, we will ensure that you understand, for example, why international law is the way that it is and the elements that go into what international law is. But as was in Narissa's modules, for example, you'll be given an opportunity to try and put that into a hypothetical effect by making submissions, by building upon the skills that any practicing lawyer needs in order to survive and obviously hopefully to thrive, particularly given the way that the legal professions in all jurisdictions are evolving. So therefore we are here, A, to give you the foundational knowledge, the foundational theoretical knowledge, and also to start the process of building up the vocational and the practical skills that you need. So that is the overview of what our LLB is there to do. And within the LLB, you will study over 2 years, 4 modules, and in 1 year, you'll study 5 modules. And you'll gradually build up the skills that are necessary and the knowledge that is necessary for you to then thrive. So with undertaking your degree, you will then be able to move on to the professional training, whether that be in the UK itself, so training to be as a solicitor or a barrister, or going to whichever jurisdictions that you do wish to pursue in the end. And again, to pursue the legal training in those jurisdictions as well. We offer a number of opportunities for students to gain practical real-world experience through things such as our clock project, through internships, through other opportunities that arise throughout the year. And obviously, we ensure that you do have the fundamental skills in legal research, in addressing other human beings, in dealing with clients and judges and all those participants in the legal profession and every legal system, to try and make sure that our students, when they graduate, are set up to where they need to be. And obviously, with a law degree, yes, you can pursue a degree as a lawyer. whether that be a solicitor, a barrister, or an advocate in whichever jurisdiction it is that you wish to pursue your career in. But obviously, it also gives you a great foundation to pursuing other careers, whether or not that career may be in politics, it may be in research, it may be in the voluntary sector, it could even be in business. Again, many business individuals do have a law background because it provides the skills, the knowledge, and the foundation for them to know what they can and cannot do. So therefore, the LLB here at Christchurch is here to hopefully make you ready to pursue the career that you want to do, what you want to undertake, both from a theoretical knowledge foundation, but also from a practical skills foundation as well. And obviously, I'll be more than happy to answer any direct questions that you have after everyone else has also presented.
Thank you, Matthew. I think that was really a good explanation. And I'm looking at the chat, so we'll soon have all the questions coming in. Moving on to the next slide, let's welcome Narissa to take us through international law LLM details. Sorry, Narissa, I think you're on mute.
Thanks very much, Neha. And thanks also very much to Matthew. Matthew and I work very closely together because he is the course director for the LLB and I am the course director for the LLM. And we have a very integrated approach towards our teaching and learning here as a strong team. The fact that we are a strong team also feeds into the way that we are teaching you because you are coming into a very well integrated and supportive environment. Now, many of you will be thinking ahead to that day when you are actually starting to apply for jobs and to prepare yourselves for the career that you actually want to work in. It would be our privilege to actually work with you in helping you build those building blocks for that next career step that you are going to take. For those of you who are interested in working in the field of human rights protection, international investments and negotiations, AI governance, working with new AI modules, solving global problems with your legal skills, then this is the program for you. This international law program that we have designed. Hello, I may have
Yeah,
lost you
we
there
can
for a
hear you
minute.
now.
Yeah.
Yes, all good.
Okay, this international law degree that we have designed helps you develop advanced knowledge of international law, human rights, investment, and AI global governance practices, law and policy, and generally about technology law across the board, all forms of media. We are a unique program in that we are teaching you to get strong specialist knowledge that is truly international. So that when we are looking at, for instance, international human rights law, we are going through all of the regional systems, Africa, Asia, specific areas in Asia, Europe, and the Americas. Now, this is very important because in order to access a number of remedies at the international level, you have to exhaust remedies that exist domestically within your legal systems. And especially for Africa and Asia, there is now a lot of developed mechanisms at that regional level. So that when you do the degree with us, you are learning the regional mechanisms that you can use to advance these areas of law, as well as the overarching United Nations international institutions, so that you are learning how to actually practice and understand how to use your craft with all of these agencies at that level. Now, the way we teach, we help you develop that subject knowledge. The LLM is an academic course where you are supposed to learn deeply the topics that are being taught to you. Because as a Master of Laws graduate, you are holding yourself out to the rest of the world as a specialist. So we are helping you drive that specialist knowledge. But what we are also doing is that we are unique at Canterbury Christchurch University in that we are giving it a very skills-based practice element inclusion. So that whereas you may go to other universities and they will teach you international law and human rights law, we are specifically telling you and we are giving you workshops and teaching you, how do I prepare reports for the UN? How do I take that case that I want to for the group that I'm representing through the necessary channels? How do I write that report? Where do I take it? How do I log that in for comment? So we are actually infusing within our specialist subject knowledge training core skills building for you. Many people think that a lawyer is somebody who can speak well. Of course, you have seen Matthew and I, we are speaking to you here without even using a script. We are speaking directly to you. This is not something that came naturally to us. It is part of our training. The other thing that you must know is that a lawyer is not just someone who can speak well. A lawyer is someone who can research and write. You write your way through law. So what we offer on our program to those of you who may be new to this world of research and writing, it is critical if you want to practice in international law. It is critical if you want to practice in the UK or other European environments. It is even critical if you want to practice in your home states. How do you write? How do you prepare your reports? How do you set up your legal submissions? So we take you from ground zero and we are going to build you up to that level that you need to build. It's a collaborative process. It involves a number of workshops in addition to your regular academic normal studying where you learn to write, you learn how to mount those presentations. But we have been doing this for several years. While this is the first year that we'll be launching this particular program, here at Canterbury Christchurch, we have been running a Masters of Law since 2019. I am pleased to tell you that since 2022, we have consistently won an award for 100% student satisfaction in support and learning from the teaching that is offered at Canterbury Christchurch University. So we are working collaboratively with you. We are working compassionately with you because we genuinely care about your future. Through our program, you will be able to build your advocacy, your ability to speak, your ability to present submissions, because some of your exams would involve a simulated court hearing where you have to moot your way through different problems. We help build your research and analytical skills by taking you through different kinds of report writing. We are taking you through different kinds of legal work, whether it be an arbitration, whether it be a simulated court before the International Court of Justice. So we try to build you in different ways so that you get the maximum student experience that is available to you. You are going to learn from experienced academics. We, the teachers on the Masters of Law, including myself and my colleagues, have all practiced in the field before we entered into academia. So you are getting that mixture of someone who has practiced in the field, but as well is an experienced academic. So we are bringing that knowledge and that experience with you into the classroom so that you are entering a very professional environment, but more than that, a very caring environment. You are not a name and a number on a sheet of paper. You will be known by name. We will know you. We will work with you. The only thing that I would expect from you is your engagement, that you attend your classes, that you engage with the materials, and we will push you to your personal best. The opportunities with our degree are endless. While I cannot say that we will give you a job at the end of the program, we will do everything within our power to help you develop the knowledge for yourself to succeed within your chosen career paths, so that with a Masters of Law, you will be able to then place yourselves to apply for jobs within that international environment or within domestic environments that practice international law. This will entail careers either with NGOs, international organizations, your foreign affairs ministries, government departments working in public policy, or any other area where they are working in the field of human rights, diplomacy, or governance. We specifically are offering, and we are one of the few universities offering that, an optional module specifically in technologies, AI, internal communications, external communications, so that you are able to build knowledge with this new resource. Now, as my colleague Matthew would have told you, in the United Kingdom, if you want to practice law in the United Kingdom, you will have to undertake, in addition to your academic learning, specific vocational courses. So while the LLM is not a vocational course, it is a specialist course that will set you apart from the rest of the people who may be applying for those jobs. While everyone must do their vocational training, remember it's now a selective process. So employers will be looking for people who have gone that bit extra. Beyond their undergraduate degree, they have undertaken a master's degree in a field of specialization that is relevant to the skills that they are looking for. If you would like to work in the field of international law, you must do postgraduate study because it is an area that is very deep and would require intensive training over and above what you would be getting at the undergraduate level. This is my personal experience. So if you work with us, we will give you that opportunity to become your personal best. We will give you that opportunity for further academic research, specialized legal study, but more than that, we will do our best to give you a wonderful experience, that you do not feel alone, that you feel that you have lecturers and a team behind you helping you reach your personal goals. And no question is ever too silly for me to answer or my colleagues to answer. We will answer any question and we will take you and work with you so that you get to that position that you want to be. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to welcoming you in September on our International Law Masters of Law. It will be a privilege to work with you. So thank you, Neha. That's it.
Thank you, Narissa. That was incredible. I wish I could join, your program at this moment. It's super powerful. I think
We are
everybody
welcoming
spoke.
all students, Neha.
Yeah, no, incredible. I think the specialist subject knowledge, the practical education, the skill sets is definitely going to lead the student to success. So thank you so much for covering everything up. Moving on to the next one, we have MSc Research Methods, which is going to be spoken about by Elisabetta Corvo. Over to you, Elisabetta.
Thank you, Nia. Thank you. Very good. I mean, my colleagues were wonderful. It will be difficult for me to come after, but I will do my best. Well, welcome to Research Methods. This is a postgrad, so it's a MSc offer from Christchurch here that is last 1 year full time. So in 1 year full time, from September to September, you are going to have your MSc in research method in your pocket, which is, I think, very good and a very good opportunity. Now, what is research method? Research method, this program is focused on developing your knowledge about research method. The focus is totally on skills, theoretical and practical skills, let's say, on research methods. So you are going to start from the base of research methods in the first module, going ahead and build your knowledge on research method from a theoretical and from a practical, because of course, theory is fundamental to build your ability to actually be a researcher. So the theoretical foundation will be part of the teaching, and then you are going to have a lot of opportunities to actually do research. Alone? No, with us. We are going to help you to build your knowledge and your ability as a researcher, your critical thinking, your ability to analyze, and from an idea that it can start from anything. So from your personal background, for your professional background, from your observation of reality, you can start to say, okay, I have this idea. I think there is a gap in knowledge. I want to research on that. And we are here to help you, building your knowledge about research method and helping you to develop a practical skills. So during the year, you are going to start with the principle of research, how to manage a research project, which is very important. And then you're going ahead to arrive at the end to do your very own personal project in research methods with the guide of a supervisor. Now, what is interesting about this MSc is that you can come from a variety of professional background. You can come from health and medical background, from an engineering background, for a biology background, from any kind of background. We are welcome different students, so you can find your own interest into the MSc in research method. So you don't need to have a specific background. Is open to a variety of background, because then from your background, you're going to start building your own research interest. That can be different. It can be more practical. It can be more theoretical. It can be something about your own setting. It can be international, global, I would say. So each of you can really find their own pathway in the MSc research methods. I have been an international student too, so I absolutely know what means to be an international student in the UK, and we are all very experienced to welcome international students. Me as course director, I can share my own experience, my fear, my difficulties, but also my victories, what I gained, how I did it, and it is possible. It is not impossible. It may be difficult the first time, but we are here to support you. You won't be alone during the MSc. You're going to have us as a lecturers, first of all, and then when you're going to do your research, you're going to have a supervisory group, a supervisor. We are all active researchers in the teaching team, so we have all experience. We come from different background, which is also good for you, because in each of our experience, you can find a different angle, a different point of view, a different experience that can help you. So we have in the teaching team people more oriented on quantitative research, people more oriented in qualitative research, in theoretical research, in the industry. So that will be the opportunity to really gain knowledge and our own experience as a researcher to guide you and develop you. What happens after? After, there is plenty of opportunities. So of course, you can decide to become, like me and recent Matthew, academics. You can go ahead and say, I'm going to do a PhD. And this will be a very strong and good foundation to build a PhD journey that is going to be 3 years' time. You can do a professional doctorate, which is a different thing, but it's still a doctorate. So after the MSc, study more if you wish, or back to practice, let's say, back to the industries, back to different pathway that can be your own background. So let's say that you are a doctor, a physician, you can back to be a researcher. Or if you are an engineer, you can back to industry. Research and ability to research, analyze, have a clear framework is something that is very important nowadays in the job market. So apart from the academic side, which is again a PhD, doctorate, etc., you have a lot of opportunities to use all these skills in real world, let's say not academia. So what we are offering you is really a development. You can arrive with no experience in research and build your experience of research, or you can have maybe a small or experience in research. Maybe you have done your undergrad dissertation or thesis, and you have some, but not in deep enough to be real comfortable in different setting and different research. That is what the master in research method is going to give you. A deep knowledge in theoretical philosophy of research, a deep knowledge of research methods, a deep knowledge of data analysis. So at the end of the year, you are going to be ready to actually use all these skills in two different aspects: more data analysis, qualitative research, quantitative research, theoretical, and really have a good background to deal with a number of different research. So, of course, opportunity in careers involving research design, project management, which is one of our modules, evaluation of intervention, for instance, into different sectors. My background is public health, so intervention in public health is an example. Data analysis and on demographic. I mean, I'm not going to give you all the details, but really is endless the opportunity that you can have. And as I said, if you want to go ahead with the studies, there is a PhD. Here we are in Christchurch. There is also the opportunity to pursue a PhD or a professional doctorate. So we have both opportunities, and this is something that you can actually think about. But what I suggest, a bit like Matthew says before, to see what happens during the master. You maybe develop a interest that you didn't know about it. So I thought I was very oriented to that, but now I discovered this new methodology, this new approach, this new site of philosophical research approach that I am really interested. So it is not only a development from your background, but is also discovering what you can do in research, how you can use research to improve your own background or other backgrounds, other professional sites. So I really hope you can come over to meet with me personally and the team to start your research journey here at Christchurch. And of course, I welcome any question. And that's it from me.
Thank you, Elisabetta. I think I loved the explanation of all the courses because it was such a clear understanding and deep understanding on how the careers are going to look like post they study all the courses that all of you mentioned. So this is super exciting. Thank you so much. I'm waiting for the audience to put some questions in the chat box, but I know what all of y'all are thinking. Y'all are thinking, how do we get into such incredible courses? So now moving on to the next slide. I would love to welcome Richard Venner directly from Canterbury Christchurch University to take us through the entry requirements. And then please feel free to put all the questions in the chat.
Oh, thanks very much, Neha. So I think for specific academic entry requirements, it's probably a good idea to reach out to your in-uni representative on the ground with your academic qualifications from your own home country. Certainly in terms of English language requirements, we have three English language tests that we accept. The most common and widely known is IELTS. So an academic IELTS of 6.0 overall, with no element below 5.5. We also accept the Pearson PTE, where you have to score 59 or above. And we also accept TOEFL as well. So those are the three English language exams, Neha, that we accept. So I'll hand back over to you and to our incredible presenters for the next section.
Amazing. And one of the things I think which is very important to remember is that Triple CU reviews applications holistically. So students are definitely encouraged to speak to your on-ground, representative from Triple CU, but also showcase, your achievements, the motivation, goals, and passion for the subject area. Okay, so very important to also specify that while you're submitting your application. Now, thank you once again to our wonderful, speakers and panelists for such an insightful presentation. We will now move on to one of the most anticipated parts, which is of today's webinar, which is the Q&A session. So, I think we are still receiving questions, but before that, I have a couple of questions to ask all the panelists, and you can choose to answer if I am not asking it to you specifically. Please feel to still go ahead and give your inputs. The first question that I would love to understand for international students specifically is, for the law in the UK, right? What are the key differences between studying an LLB and pursuing an LLM program? So I think if Matthew and Narissa, you could both add in to this question, that would be great.
Well, I will jump in before my colleague Matthew. The LLM is a master's qualification, and the LLB is an undergraduate qualification. So, as an undergraduate, you would have a general knowledge of law, but as a master's student, you are picking and selecting particular areas to hold yourself out as a specialist. It is no, you would normally do the LLB before you do the LLM. In order to do the Masters of Law, you need to have an undergraduate of law passed with a minimum of a 2-2, that is a lower second class honors degree. However, we do consider applications from students who do not have a law background. It's a different application in that we will interview you to see if you have worked in the field of law or you have some sort of knowledge of law, or if you have an appropriate undergraduate experience that could help support you when you come into the program. So that we do take people with non-law backgrounds as well, but it has to go through a different application process. I hand over to my colleague Matthew to talk a little bit more about the LLB.
So yes, so the LLB, because it's an undergraduate degree, is the fundamental degree that you have to undertake if you want to practice as a lawyer. So yes, you can, in the UK at least, you can go and do another degree and then do a postgraduate course called the PGDL, the postgraduate diploma in law, but obviously that will add an extra year to your studies, and it will also cost you a lot of money as well. Whereas a law degree, the LLB law degree, is there to provide you with all the foundational knowledge, the foundational skills that you may need in order to go and practice wherever you want to go and practice. So again, if you do want to study, fundamentally, if you want to do it as quickly and as cheaply, not cheaply, but as reduced cost as much as possible, then the LLB is the choice for you. Again, as I said, it will give you the foundational knowledge. So it will give you the what we call the FLK modules, the foundation in legal knowledge modules that every lawyer in every jurisdiction needs. Every lawyer needs to understand contracts. Every lawyer, to a degree, needs to understand criminal law. Every lawyer needs to understand the law of torts, for example, because you cannot escape it, particularly in practice. And so the LLB gives you that foundation. It allows you to undertake the career that you want, whereas the LLM allows you to focus and to pursue potentially the direct areas that you wish to pursue. Those that require more specialist knowledge or specialist skills is what the LLM will provide you. And obviously, the LLM will also help you stand out as well amongst any crowded employment fields that you are going into. So the LLB is the foundational fundamental degree that you have to do, and the LLM is to build upon that to allow you to pursue potentially alternative or more specific careers and to have that more specialized knowledge. And obviously, fundamentally, the LLB is 3 years and the LLM is 1 year.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Matthew. Thank you so much, Narissa. I think I have one question for you, Elizabeth. I think this is very, very important in today's world. Okay, so with AI becoming more prominent in legal research and practice, how are digital tools and legal technology integrated into the curriculum?
So I could jump into that quickly as well, if that is okay to my
Yeah,
colleagues as
absolutely.
well. So as I said on our program with international law, so we do some bespoke topics on the application of technologies within human rights, within international law and investment law, but we also run a whole module on AI and technologies, and that is taught by my colleague, Dr. Jasper Kaur Singh. And Dr. Singh is also one of the expert advisors to the Malaysian government on their AI policies. She is a mover and shaker in that field. So you are getting direct, specific knowledge from someone who is working in the field of AI. And unlike most academics, she also has like a science background as well. So she brings that knowledge of how to use these technology, but she's focusing on the governance of it, the ethics around it, challenging issues, and the regulation of that within the field. I would imagine, Neha, that many of the lawyers will be going into the field of AI regulation. If it is that they want to practice, they will be looking at regulation and governance because that's what lawyers do. And we do have that built into the program. I'll hand over to my colleagues. We also have an AI policy in ways in which you can integrate the use of AI into your own.
Okay, would Matthew or Elizabeth, anybody would like to add on to this?
I think Narissa's just returned.
Yeah. So I was just going to say I'll hand over to my colleagues for them to speak a little bit more about their own courses as well.
Perfect. So Matthew, do you want to go in first?
Oh, no, I was going to pass over to Elizabeth.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, thank you to Narissa for what she said. Of course, we are going to integrate AI, and we are going to focus on the AI role. Of course, is something that is developing so fast, in the last couple of years, and more and more. So we will for sure to explore how AI can be used in an ethical way in to research methods. So this will be explored as well.
All
Yeah.
right. Thank you so much. I think we have one question from Shushrut Kulkarni, and she's asking, are students encouraged to explore contemporary issues such as human rights, international law, technology law, or global justice? So it's open for all.
Well, I'll jump in.
Go,
Actually,
Narissa.
I'll go because that question is actually going to probably be one of your assessments. So in international law, you are looking at those contemporary debates in all of those things that you're looking at. so you have an actual whole module on human rights. So we'll be looking at things from that human rights perspective. But you actually have another module on public international law where you will be looking at those issues, sometimes not specifically from a human rights lens, but from that public international law perspective, particularly in the areas of humanitarian law, use of force, legality of warfare, economic poverty, access to all nations for the same trading status. So it's like all these areas that you have flagged up, you definitely do cover it in an international law masters. I can also say for my colleague Matthew, who I will hand over to, even at the undergraduate level, if you are doing an undergraduate, there are actual modules on the program that you can select, such as international law and human rights. Also, there are some other modules on the undergraduate program where you can look at those things, albeit at a more generalist level and as optional modules. So maybe Matthew could take from there.
So yes, so on both the LLM and on the LLB, you're given the opportunity to take the modules that interest you the most. But in all modules, you are asked and you are required to consider the wider impact. Whether that be in modules that it's slightly less clear about any societal impact, such as contract law. But even in contract law, we have to consider, well, for example, is AI able to enter into a contract? The answer is no. The AI is not sentient and it is not a person. So the answer to that is absolutely no. But the impacts that we have in technology, for example, electronic signatures, electronic communications, all of that, no matter what area of law you're in, there is always a consideration of the societal impact. That is one of the things that distinguishes a law degree, from doing something such as the postgraduate diploma in law. Because on the PGDL, where you're trying to basically study all 7 core modules in a year rather than over 3 years, all you have time to do is to study what the law is, and even then, what the most fundamental law is. Whereas on an LLB, particularly on ours, obviously, you are given the opportunity to reflect, to think about what the law may be and what it should be. Because obviously, in practice, things are constantly changing for all sorts of reasons, whether that be technology, whether that be societal changes. For example, in land law, you will be required to look at societal changes in terms of relationships, that fewer and fewer people are getting married. And if they are getting married, they're getting married much later. And so the impact that has, because the law regulates marriage different to cohabiting couples. And so even in dry areas such as land law, not that I will ever admit that land law is a dry area, but some Philistines do believe that it is a dry area. In those areas, that there is still a fundamental discussion, still a fundamental societal perspective that has to be taken. So in every area of the law, and we encourage this in all of our degrees, in all of our courses, in all of our modules, for you to think critically about the law and the elements and how and what the law should actually be. And obviously the law should be what I publish. We just have to put that out there. Elisabetta, do you want to talk about
No,
from your
I am
perspective?
smiling because, yeah, I mean, of course, we are in research. There is no point to do research if there is not a gap in knowledge. So, gap in knowledge can be something about nowadays, globally, your own country, Europe. It can be something in the past that have influenced now. So I'm not saying that um, if your background is history, you cannot find a gap in knowledge. You can find a gap in knowledge even in history, something that has not been studied, something that has not been explored in depth. So we are focusing on what we don't know yet, what should be clarified more. So globally and more specifically, what should be known that we don't know yet, that has not been clarified yet, to add even a tiny, tiny new knowledge. This is what research does. This is what we are oriented in. So if you come from any background, you can say, I have the desire to explore this aspect, because it will be very important that you have this opportunity with your final project. And during the time of the master, you have the opportunity to learn how to arrive to get that knowledge. What is the pathway? What are the key to enter in the unknown to make it known? That is so globally, historically, and more recent, but also in the past. That is
Nice.
research.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you all for asking such amazing questions. I think we have another one. How important are research and critical thinking skills within the law courses, and how are students supported in developing them? Narissa, do
Well,
you want
again,
to? Okay,
yeah.
Matthew, sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so as I said, research and thinking critically is key for all students. And by that, I don't mean using AI. Again, in order to in yes, AI is being used in elements of the profession, in all professions, but in order for you to know that what the AI has produced is actually decent, you have to be able to do it yourself. And that is the position that we take here at Christchurch, that you have to have the fundamental skills for you to do it yourself in order for you to know if what has been produced by Claude, ChatGPT, or whichever of these AI programs is actually makes sense. And so from not quite from day one, but we encourage you and we provide you with opportunities from the very beginning for you to undertake that research. That again, you are required if you want to do well, and again, this is critical, if you want to get the first that you want, you do have to undertake independent research. You do have to read the textbooks. You do have to go and read the journal articles in order for you to stand out, if more than anything else, for you to demonstrate that you have those skills, that you have understood what other writers and authors have put out there, and that you are then able to use it. Yes, obviously, as members of staff, we all have our opinions, and some of us are obviously right, and should be followed and should be listened to. But there are other people who unfortunately do disagree with us, and which is obviously unacceptable, but it does occur. And so therefore, in those circumstances, again, it is critical that you do go and read what those alternative opinions and authors are. Although I might be correct, you won't be punished for not agreeing with me. In fact, I actively encourage my students not to necessarily agree with me. Because again, you have to be able to think for yourself. We want you to think for yourself. In law, particularly in my areas of law, of property law, there is usually not a singular answer. There is usually a right answer because the courts will tell us, but until the courts get to that point, there is usually not a singular perspective or answer until that point. And given the way that the law is going, it is taking longer and longer for us to resolve these issues. And so it is critical in practice for you to be able to form your own opinion, for you to interpret things on a fast-paced, moving basis. And so again, we do require you from the get-go to engage in active research, to develop those skills, not only from an academic perspective, but also from a practical perspective, to make sure that you, when you graduate, not just know what the law is, but you're able to engage in a discussion with your clients, to engage in a discussion with your partners or whoever it might be in the firms or chambers that you are you're working with, to make sure you're not left behind in 10, 15 years when the law is not necessarily as it is at the moment. Again, it is critical that you understand that your degree is not just here to set you up for the moment you graduate. It's here to set you up in 20 years' time when your career is hopefully progressing, and that you are hopefully in those circumstances then are able to go even further, not just practice, but become a judge or become an academic or whatever it is that you might do, going on to those alternative and further careers. Narissa, is there anything you want to add to that?
Sorry,
Yes, I
Narissa,
could.
I interject 1 second to say
No,
I agree
sure.
on everything. Well done, Matthew. You say beautifully.
You get to pass. You
With
get to pass.
yeah, but you with a
Uh,
better accent than mine, for sure. I agree in exactly what Matthew said. You have to learn to do, in our case, research by yourself, have the critical thinking, develop your knowledge, read widely, have a critical thinking, have a data approach, and then you can build. AI is after when you know the thing. Sorry, Narissa, it was so important to
no,
tell.
I couldn't have said it better than my two colleagues. But like I couldn't stop smiling when Matthew was speaking because it is true, you know. I just couldn't stop smiling. What I would like to say is that we say that we want you to develop criticality and so on, but I could give you a few tips. This is what you'll be experiencing in the classroom. The ability to be critical is that you are able to find weaknesses in the law and you are able to spot the gaps, and you are also able, as an advanced student, to be able to suggest pathways to resolution of those problems. So that kind of problem solving from the get-go, we are teaching you that problem solving mode. Now, when you actually start to practice, you are going to be interfacing with clients, ladies and gentlemen, and however you are so advised, you are going to have to be speaking from your head to these people. So the criticality is that you are able now, we are working with you to be able to listen to a problem. And while you are listening to the problem, you have the knowledge base to identify the questions that are coming up. But then you are able now to merge different systems of knowledge to give an answer. Another key thing about criticality is that you are able to know the limits of the idea. You are going to be able to know that this is as far as you could go until there is a law change. Now, when you are actually arguing in court as well, you will have to use those skills on your legs because the things are going to be happening live and direct in the courtroom. So you're going to have to figure it out. So I can definitely, even though Elizabeth is not from law, this will be the same thing. When we talk about being critical and analytical, we are not just going to say be critical, be analytical in the classroom. We start with small exercises and then we build you up to bigger and bigger exercises so that you are developing that criticality. So we may start with a small thing to summarize a problem and to flag up the key points that you are seeing there. But by the end of the program, you are arguing before a simulated court of appeal to change a law. So, like, you are given different exercises in your workshops and your classes to build that criticality. We also make you digest certain pieces of information and present it into class with a lot of oral work as well. Like I said, criticality that Neha is talking about is your ability to see patterns, weaknesses, and pathways for resolution, and also to be able to see what other people have been saying about it. So when you are talking about the weaknesses, you are going to know what all the literature has said about the weaknesses. You're going to have to know what all the cases have said about it. And you will even start to see who has been suggesting what in different places and start to push it together so that you could make that solution. So I would love to tell you this, and it's not because I'm an academic. The human brain is like the most phenomenal organ in the world. It can do things, but what you have to do is like going to the gym. You have to train it. So it can lift over 1,000 kilograms, but what you have to do is you start training it with 5 kilograms every day until you get to that point. Is like you have unlocked the full potential and you can do it. But with all things come work. It does not float down from the sky onto your head. So part of your study experience with us is to get that supportive environment. But let me tell you something, if you are not working, we will let you know and get you working. Okay.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for such enthusiastic and such point on explanation to all the questions that are coming in. I'm just going to take the last two questions. I know we're running over time, but the second last one would be: are there opportunities to engage with real legal professionals, guest speakers, or legal networking events during the course?
Yes, we have those happening on a regular basis. For example, as I said, we have our clock project in which you're able to engage with the local courts. And obviously, during that, you will come into regular contact with members of the legal profession. And indeed, many of our students are then able to get further opportunities through that. We have our Black Tie Law Dinner every year, in which we have alumni who are practicing, and we have local practitioners who attend as well. We recently had the head of the SRA down and talking about careers. We have regular opportunities for mooting competitions, for mediation competitions. Again, on average, there's about 2 events per month to allow you to engage with local practitioners, judges, whoever that may be. So there's always something going on.
Perfect. So the last one, I think. Okay, yeah, sorry,
Just wanted to
Naina.
say, most recently, Matthew and his side of the team, we had an amazing career fair with people from the DPP, local firms, Ministry of Justice. I mean, these are all English things, but they have been. If it is that you wanted an opportunity to shadow somebody in these places, you can. And also for myself, we have a King's Council talking about careers in international law to the entire cohort.
Incredible. Perfect. Last question. I would love for all three of you to answer it in maybe a sentence or two. But what advice would you give international students who want to stand out when applying for legal internships or future training opportunities in the UK? Matthew, would you want to?
Well, again, I mean, the first thing is to take up the opportunities that are provided to you. Again, as I said, we have things on a regular basis. We have mooting, we have other opportunities that are available to you. And so unless you take those opportunities, unless you engage in them, you won't stand out. And so basically the best advice I can do is engage in what we offer. We offer what you need. It is for you to undertake those opportunities.
Well
Amazing.
said. Well said to my colleague Matthew,
Absolutely.
because absolutely. If I, for me, when you're applying, and remember, I too am an international student who is now living and working in the United Kingdom. I have naturalized to become a British citizen. So, what is it that makes you stand out in these internship applications? You have to show that you went over and above the average person. There's a lot of competition for internships. So, you have to show that in addition to a very good quality degree, so we are looking always aim to get a 2-2 or a first class. In addition to that, you have to show that you have taken on volunteering opportunities at NGOs or at any civic society building things, that you have undertaken some out of class writing project. It's either that you've been publishing blogs or that you've been articulating small papers. But what these people are selecting, they will be getting thousands of applications. So they are shortlisting people for internships who show that they've done that little bit extra. Also, if you've done any free shadowing opportunities. So you have to, even at this stage of your life, think about your brand. Who am I? How am I selling myself? But you can't just say it with your lips. You have to evidence it on the CV. So when you're applying, think about where you want to go and you start putting those bits of evidence now and taking it into consideration so that you could put it on those applications. You've volunteered, you've written, you've done something over and above your degree to show that you've separated yourself from the pack.
I totally agree with my colleagues. Absolutely. Make the most of all possible opportunities. So even if it's a small one, you never know what comes from that small opportunity. And volunteer is also an advice that, for instance, I did in my life, which really built when I was much younger, my also professionalism, because it was my first experience. I was very young with other adults, be on on time, be accountable. That was also interesting, but also observing, learning from others. If there is an opportunity for a career fair, go there. Don't make the most. I'm speaking for the master. Make the most of the year that you have here to learn, to have opportunities. Here in Christchurch, there are a lot of facilities, a lot of opportunities. You can ask, they can help you in developing your CV, opportunities of volunteer, etc., etc. Make the extra mile, as Narissa said, to make it worth the year that you are investing, the year you are investing in your life to have the most back of your investment, let's say.
Thank you so much. I know the questions are still in there, but we will do one thing. We will take all the questions, we'll download it, we'll send it to our esteemed, distinguished panelist here. And then once we have the answers, we'll share it with all of you all. But we're running over time, so we're going to be coming to an end of today's webinar. I would really like to extend a sincere thank you to all our panelists for sharing their valuable insights and expertise, right? And of course, a huge thank you for all of our attendees for your participation, for engagement, and the thoughtful questions that you've asked throughout the session. So you are certainly ready to go in and experience the courses at Canterbury Christchurch University this September. And we hope that today's webinar has provided you with a good understanding of opportunities that are available and how law and research programs can help you achieve your dreams. As I mentioned earlier, that this webinar has been recorded, so I'm going to be sharing it across, and you can definitely then share it with your friends or colleagues who might benefit from it. But we truly appreciate your time today and hope to see you, most of you, take the next step towards the academic journey with Triple CU. Thank you once again. Looking forward to welcoming you to the future sessions. Have a lovely, lovely day. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.